The title of this presentation is the circular flow of income. We need to draw a diagram to represent what the circular flow of income is all about. So what we're going to have are two important components of our economy. We have households, so the people that work and spend money in the economy, and we also have firms. So GDP in the economy can be represented by the circular flow of income. What we have, the first stage of it, is factors of production. So households provide businesses with factors of production, so mainly our labour. We provide our labour to enable businesses to produce goods and services. But we may also provide them with land, which we do it to achieve some kind of profit on the rent, for example. We may also provide capital investment, which again we would expect to return from. In exchange for our factors of production, firms will provide us with wages in exchange for our labour, rent for the land that we offer them, and profit, which is our return on the capital that we've invested into the businesses. So you have the first part of the relationship in the circular flow of income. So in effect, we've received all this money from firms. We've got to think about now, what do we do with this money? We'll get to the reason in a second, but we give that money back to businesses in terms of consumer expenditure. The reason why we do this is to receive goods and services from businesses. So what we have there is the basic circular flow of income. And if I was to draw the bathtub, which represents the size of our economy, the more money there is in our in our bathtub, the more water is in our bathtub, the bigger the circular flow of income is. So in a boom in the economy, at a peak, when the water level is high, the circular flow will be huge. When we're in a recession and a trough, the water level is low, the circular flow will be very small. What we want to think about now is how can we make the circular flow of income bigger, and how can we make it smaller? If we're injecting money into the circular flow of income, we could think about this as turning on the taps in the bath, adding more water to the bath. We have three injections which we need to be aware of. We have investment, government spending, and exports. All will create an injection into the economy. Let's think about how. If we have a business that's looking to expand, they will be looking to take on board more workers to enable them to fulfill their expansion, increase their output. As they do this, they have to give more wages to households. As households receive higher wages, maybe higher profit on capital they've invested, they will spend more on the goods and services provided by businesses. As we buy more goods and services, businesses will again demand more factors of production from us, results in more income for us, high consumer expenditure, and even more goods and services. Government spending in the economy. If the government was to give households more money, that will enable us to spend more consumer expenditure on goods and services from businesses. As we start to demand more, businesses will demand more factors of production, which results in even higher wages and even further growth in consumer expenditure. Exports. X. If businesses sell more across the world, again they demand more factors of production, more of our workers from our households. Again, this results in higher wages, more consumer expenditure, and more goods and services. What we can see is then that these injections are a circular thing. Every time we go around the circular flow, we're adding more and more money. This is what we call a positive multiplier effect. This is where the original injection into the economy results in a larger growth in the economy than the original injection. So say, for example, we invest £1 million into the economy. This might result in £2 or £3 million of growth in the economy as the money circulates round and round and round the circular flow of income. Clearly, these injections mean that the water level in the bathtub will start to increase. Let's think next about what makes the circular flow get smaller. Clearly more injections will take us towards a boom. Leakages, you can think about these as the plug hole, water leaking out of the bathtub, are what make the circular flow smaller. Free leakages are the exact opposite of the free injection. So the opposite of investment is savings or S. Opposite of government spending is taxation. Opposite of exports is imports. And what these three can create are negative multipliers. And we'll explain what that means in a minute. Now let's think about what this means. Let's imagine a business was to invest more into expanding their business. This in turn will result in more wages to households. But this time, rather than households spending this extra money on consumer expenditure, they start to save this money. If the households save this money, they will not demand any more goods and services. If anything, they might demand less. This in turn will result in businesses needing to produce less. They will therefore demand less factors of production, give lower wages to households, which results in even lower consumer expenditure in the future. So you can see that's creating a negative multiplier effect. The original leakage, maybe let's say £100 of savings, might lead to the circular flow shrinking by £200 or £300. Taxation. Let's imagine that the government imposes a higher tax on businesses. This will reduce their profit levels. This might mean they look to cut wage rates that they offer their workers in households, or reduce the profit that households get on capital they've invested. As the money going to households fall, consumer expenditure will have to fall, demand for goods and services will fall, and demand for factors of production will therefore fall as businesses need to produce less. Imports. This time, when our businesses pay our households, rather than our workers spend that money back on goods and services from our businesses, households start to buy from abroad. If we do that, that will mean our businesses will need to produce less goods and services, which means they demand less factors of production. Our wages fall because they're not needing as much of us. Our expenditure falls, which means we need to produce even less goods and services. So over the course of the economic cycle, both injections and leakages are important. When we reach a boom in the economic cycle, we need to reduce injections and boost leakages. When we're heading towards a trough, the water level is very, very low, we need to put the plug in the bath, so stop leakages, and turn the taps on, increase injections into the economy. So just to reiterate on that, if I was to draw very quickly the economic cycle, number 1, we have a boom. Number 2, we have a bust. So 1 is a peak, 2 is a trough in effect. When we're at number 1, the water level is too high. We need to stop injections or reduce them. We turn the tap off. At the same time, we pull the plug out of the bath, i.e. increase leakages to reduce the water level and therefore the circular flow of income, trying to stop that boom from happening. In a recession at number 2, in a trough, we need to put the plug back in the bath, so cut off leakages. At the same time, we need to turn on the tap, increase injections into the economy again to get the economy growing. So what we would like, if we're looking for economic stability, is a constant or a slowly growing level of water in our bathtub. That means the government and the economy can manipulate injections and leakages to influence how big our circular flow of income is.